Yeah, I would, literally since before day one, before I was previously at Microsoft, before we even left to start this business, we knew we wanted to build a very big company. The heroes of my life are guys like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, folks who started something, built it up to a multi-billion-dollar company, and stuck with it. So we never had, my co-founder and I had never had a desire to do a quick flip or sell out early. And I think it really influenced a lot of decisions we make. Now, of course, that makes it a little awkward in the early on venture capital meetings where they say, well, who do you think you're going to sell to? And we'd say, well, we don't really want to sell. We want to build this into a big company. And we had a couple of comps in our space where NASDAQ and TELATLAS had built multi-billion-dollar companies in the map data space, which was somewhat comparable to what we were doing. But, maybe that's why we pitched 70 venture capital firms and were told no 70 times. But either that or nobody understood traffic data and where it was going, which is probably more likely. But yes, before we actually started the company, we knew we wanted to go very big. Yes, because I don't know if I could...
If you have 70 venture firms say no, you accomplished a certain amount of risk already. But,
yeah, I don't know if I agree that it's more risky going the big route. It probably means yes, you're raising more capital. It probably means, yes, you're going to get more diluted than what you think because you're shooting for a bigger pie. But the way you run the business, knowing that you want to be in this business long term, is how are we going to make this business profitable? Let's make the right decisions for the business long term, as opposed to just trying to pretty it up for some sale or something like that. So I never felt that it was more risky to go this route than to go the quick trades route. It's not to say we didn't have opportunities. I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, we were approached by a Fortune 10 company about acquiring us. And we walked into this board meeting, and I was warned ahead of time by one of my independent board members that you and your investors are not on the same page. You better be prepared. You better get ready. So we walked into this board meeting, going into why we shouldn't sell, why we should build long-term value, and the investors started laughing at me. I said, "Why are you laughing?" And he said, "Because we thought you wanted to sell. We don't want to sell. You don't want to sell. Well, good. We're done." So it's interesting. You have a line.
Was the meeting over?
The meeting was over. That's right. And literally one of our board members called back the Fortune 10 company and said, if the number doesn't end in a B, don't even bother calling us again. So, I think having that kind of alignment on the board with what you're trying to do and the long-term goal of the company along the way just makes it so much more easy. Because then you don't spend a lot of time spending cycles talking to folks that you really don't know what you're doing. Yeah, I would just say, in terms of rating Seattle, I would give it an absolute A, because the people here want to stick with the company and are kind of focused on the right things. Just to give you a statistic, we've been around for 6 years, 275 folks. We have lost exactly 5 people in the company's history to attrition that we didn't want to. Now, compare that with Sand Hill Road, where companies literally, I have 2 friends who are running companies that I was visiting with last week. They have about a 20+ or so % attrition down in the Bay Area. So this is a much better opportunity to build a long-term viable company. Now, to your second question, what would I change? It would absolutely be the venture capital community. So first of all, take it with a grain of salt because I have all outside Seattle money, and it certainly wasn't for lack of trying to raise money here in Seattle. But just, John Cook, I read an article from him this morning, 2% of venture capital financings in the country happen in Seattle. That tells me if you really want money, you've got to spend 98% of your time outside this city trying to raise money. Because that's where the deal flow is, that's where you're seeing competitors, that's where you're getting kind of the network effect, which is why we focus so much on raising money on Sand Hill and building a reputation down there, because that really is the center of the universe in terms of the startup community and basically all the business relationships that you need to be a high-tech company out there.